I'm sure we've all heard the example of somebody speeding in a car towards a cliff, used as an analogy that that person is living their life in a way that is leading to ruin. When I was thinking about this analogy, and I realized we always talk about the driver of the car, but we never talk about the people watching him as he's driving towards this cliff, which is eventually going to plunge him down a rocky valley and take his life. So I've identified four kinds of onlookers to the man who is speeding 100 miles an hour towards his demise. And we're going to ask ourselves which group actually cares for and loves the driver of this car. So, group number one. This first group of people, they watch this guy tear it up, man. He's going 100 miles an hour down the road. They don't believe there's a cliff ahead. They just think it's all open road that just goes on forever. They've heard people talk about the cliff, but they've never taken the time to look into it. Their motto is, what I don't see isn't real. So they scream and yell at this dude, you tear it up, man. You go, buddy. You do your thing, man. Don't listen to anyone else. You just keep doing what you're doing. They just hate you for having fun. So to say that this group of people loves the driver is questionable. They're gambling on his life that there won't be a cliff up ahead. And if they're wrong, oh well. Now, the second group of people knows there's a cliff up ahead. They've seen the cliff and they've watched others go off the cliff. But they just wave and smile as he drives by, going 100 miles an hour towards the cliff. It's not really any concern of theirs what this guy does with his life. And most of all, they're afraid of upsetting or offending him. I mean, besides, those around him would make fun of him as they're trying to warn the driver about the cliff. They don't want to be made fun of. They don't want to be ridiculed. So to say that this group of people loves the driver is also questionable. If they really loved him, they would warn him. But they're really just indifferent to his fate. So then there's a third bunch who also knows there's a cliff up ahead, but they're not really concerned about him going off the cliff and ruining his life. No, their concern is how he's messing up their roads, kicking up dust everywhere, driving over flower beds, and just basically creating a lot of noise and ruckus. No, they don't care if he drives off the cliff. They just want it to be a different cliff, somewhere far away from them. So they yell and scream in anger at this driver to slow down, not so he won't crash and hurt himself, but just so he won't keep disturbing their quiet life. This group of people certainly doesn't love the driver of the car, but show him much contempt and hatred for him. So now we come to the fourth group of people. Now this group, they see the guy heading towards the cliff, and they're deeply concerned. They've seen many of their friends go off the cliff, and out of love and compassion, they do not want to see another life end tragically. They try to say things like, hey man, slow down. You need to turn around. You're heading towards the cliff. Trust me, man, I almost went off at once too. Please listen to me. I know where you are. I've been there. But God saved me as I was headed for it, and He can save you too. Now, people make fun of group number four, and even say that they hate the driver for telling him how to slow down and turn around, which is the height of irony, really, because they genuinely care for the driver and honestly don't want to see another person drive off the cliff. So they endure the ridicule and the mockery because they feel that they are truly saving a life. So this really is the only group of people who actually is showing any love for the driver of this car. So, if it's not clear what I'm trying to convey in this message, it's this. We all know people who are in the throes of addiction, habitual sin, or they're just callous to the ways of God. And what should our response be to this, to these people? Do we affirm or even celebrate their journey to an eternity without God, like group number one? Do we, out of apathy, turn a blind eye and just watch them perish, like group number two? Do we let hatred and self-righteousness well up within us, like group number three, because we think we're morally superior to them and they're just, an inconvenience to our American dream way of life? Or will we be like group number four, who actually cares about people enough to invest time into them, loving them and speaking the truth to them in a way that they can hear and receive? Of course, let's be like onlookers in group number four. They are the most Christ-like, and I just want to be like them in all of my interactions with people, loving them where they're at, speaking the truth to them in love, and just being an example of the Father heart of God.